Hi, I'm Brianna from the Fabric Patch in Ephrata, Washington. And today is our last video of the Quilt Club series for 2021. And today's class is Toothless Two-Fer.
My daughter and I have owned and operated a busy quilt shop in Washington State for over 20 years. We have a retreat center, an active YouTube channel, and a large pattern line featuring our creations. My two sons work on machines. One daughter-in-law is our videographer and the other is a long-arm quilter. We are a family that love each other, we laugh together, and every once in a while we get some work done. We have a crew that are saints for their efforts at keeping us on track. Thanks for joining us on our wild ride.
Today's video and today's quilt is super fast. It was super fun to put together. So you're going to need at least 2 charm packs, which are the 5-inch squares, or cut yourself some 5-inch squares. What's really important about this one is the accuracy of cutting is going to be really helpful, because then at the end of it, we don't have to trim or square up our blocks, which is always a plus. Then you'll also need a yard of accent. So the quilt behind me is all very fun, bright fabrics, and my accent piece was black. So I have, in this one particular, I cut my own squares. I have 88 5-inch colored squares, and then my black 3-inch squares. So my quilt is about 45 by about 55. And then I'm going to add an extra border, but you can easily make this quilt larger with more 5-inch squares that you've cut or more charm packs. You can also make the quilt just like this. We do have some what we call fabric patch design rolls. These are 11 different pieces of fabric that are 11 inches strips. So you can be easily... So you can get the fabric patch design roll, which are 11 different fabrics cut into 11-inch strips. So you can get 10-inch squares out of them. You can get 5-inch squares out of them. So you can get these and you can make the exact same one. Again, half of this pack made my 45 by 55 inch. So keep that in mind. And then you're going to need a yard, again, of your accent. It doesn't have to be black. You can pick another color. I think it'd be really cute, even to do it in white, if you had some other ones and you didn't have so much white backgrounds. But it looks like there's little teeth kind of chomping through your block. So it's really cute, and it's going to be super, super fast to put together. So besides your 5-inch squares and your 3-inch squares, you're also going to need some marking utensils. So those of us that are using black as our accent, you're going to need some sort of a pencil. You could use a lead pencil, but I find not all lead pencils make a strong enough line, because we're going to mark a line from corner to corner so we can sew right on that line. So I brought one of my old pens. This is a lead pencil on one side and white chalk on the other. You can also get, Bowen makes a white mechanical pencil. It has white chalk lead in it. Really good. It's $11 and you've got extra lead replacements and you've got some in the pen. So this is really nice if you're using a lot of dark, if you're doing navy, black, anything dark that you need to do a line on. If you were going to do a color, if you're going to do lime green or yellow or white, of course your friction pen, which of course comes in a bunch of different colors, will just iron off with heat and you're super good to go. If you do have an old chalk pen or a tailor's chalk, you can use any of that. Keep in mind, if you find that it's not actually drawing a white line as if it's like a dead pen, take an emery board or a little piece of sandpaper, give your pencil a little swoosh around, put it in a pencil sharpener, sharpen it a little bit. What happens with chalk is it gets this weird film just from everyday air. So you got to get that little film off of it on the point and around the edges, and then your chalk pencil, Tailor chalk, whatever you're using, will work beautifully to make perfect lines. You're also going to need a little ruler, rotary cutter, a mat, and then a sharp pair of scissors. I prefer to use scissors for this, but I'll show you soon. Okay, so now we're going to mark our 3-inch squares. So we're going to start, our 3-inch squares need to be wrong side up, and we're going to just mark our line from point to point. And you have to make it, it doesn't have to be a super dark line. Oops. just enough for you to be able to see it. And again, that's kind of where I'm using black. That's kind of nice where there's a white, either white chalk pencil, however you're using. The white's really nice. Of course, the white will wash completely out. It's not going to run or fade or do anything naughty. And depending on how fine the chalk is, it is possible that it will start kind of just coming off as you're stitching through it. So this is just going to be a guideline for us to start sewing. So once we've marked these, we are then going to go to the sewing machine. What we're doing is we're taking one of our 5-inch squares and one 3-inch square. We're going to line up on one corner. It does not matter which corner. And we're going to sew right on that line we've just marked. So for the start of my block making, I'm going to use, if you are a FOF sewer, I'm using my 1A foot. The reason why is, again, I'm just sewing straight onto a line, and then the two-fer part of our Toothless Two-Fer is we're going to make some mini half square triangles. And instead of just throwing away this as waste, which you can absolutely do, or you can have a little collection of half square triangles. And I'm going to show you how to do that in one clean, easy step. So I'm going to attach my 1A foot, make sure my IDT is down, and we're going to take right sides together. We're just going to sew right on that line. And I like to chain piece, which means I just continually sew until I'm bored, clip them apart, and do the next step. So I like to stop with my needle down, so my presser foot pops up just a tiny bit, and I'll take my next one. Make sure right sides together. We're going to sew right on this line. And keep in mind, we are sewing from center of a side to center of a side. We are not sewing from point to center. See how that? We are hoping to end up with something like that. So keep that in mind also, how to position that line you've drawn. We're going to just butt that right up and continue to sew. Once we've gotten to the last of our blocks, and it doesn't have to be all 80 of them. It can be just the first 12. You know from watching other videos of me, I get bored and like to shuffle up my step. So I chose white thread just for the purpose of the video so you can see. But if you're doing something with a black accent, I would choose a gray or black thread to sew your pieces together, just to ensure that you're not going to see any threads. So after we have sewn our blocks, I'm going to use my little Blade Saver thread cutter, and I'm just going to cut these apart real fast, make another stack. Again, it doesn't matter in which way they lay because we're just still cutting. Before we cut anything, we're going to do one more stitch, and this is why I've chosen the 1A foot. What we're going to do is the edge of my presser foot, I'm going to have right on the line that I've just sewn. So let me show you. So we did this line first from point to point, and this is the line we are doing now. So we're just writing the edge of my presser foot is just right there. And we're going to stitch all the way across. I'm again going to do chain piecing because it makes it really fast. It saves on thread, and it's super simple. And this is what's going to give us those cute little half square triangles. And now we're going to cut them apart one last time. So we've done our 2 stitches, our first stitch to create our block, our second stitch to create our little half square triangles. You can either take your rotary cutter and you're just gonna kind of beat the difference in here. We're not gonna have a full 1/4 inch because this is just, you can definitely measure over and make that line so you have a full 1/4 inch here and a full 1/4 inch there. But for me, the edge of my presser foot is just a really easy thing to remember. So I'm just gonna beat the difference here and cut those apart. And then you're gonna have your toothless block and you're gonna have a half square triangle block. The other thing you can do, this is where I like my sharp scissors, is you might find that this line came out a little crooked. This line is kind of important to be straight, but if this one came out a little crooked or you're uneasy using your rotary cutter and your ruler, use your scissors. I have some sharp scissors here and we're just gonna cut right down the middle. And again, even if you don't cut straight, it doesn't matter. We're just gonna press those anyways. So we've got a toothless and a half square triangle. All right, once all of these are done, we're gonna hit the iron. So it is very important that your 5-inch squares and your 3-inch squares are cut accurately. The reason why is at this point when we're pressing, we're gonna set our seam. I'm gonna press everything to my little triangle because it's gonna be the darkest no matter what. So what's really important is if they're cut accurately, what's gonna happen is these lines, so if we start from this point and come all the way across, these lines are straight and these lines are straight. If our 3-inch squares are not cut square and they're a little off, or 5-inch squares are a little off, these will become wonky, where this might come in a little bit and then you're gonna have some of the orange background and then out. If you have a lot of blocks that are not straight from here to here, you will need to square up these blocks, meaning trim them down to probably 4.5 inches. It is important that this line is straight because, you know, the only way to create a block or a quilt is to do 2 straight edges together and to create that seam. So the more accurate cutting you are with this 3 and these 5s, you can eliminate that entire trimming step, which is the easiest thing to do. There might be a few that are a little wonky and a few are okay, but if the majority of your blocks are a bit wonky and unusable, let's just trim them up. So we're just gonna press. For mine, it looks like we're just gonna keep them the way they are. Nothing super crazy. And you're going to make as many of these units as you have 5-inch squares for. So you'll have 80 of these if you're using 2 charm packs. You'll have 40 if you're using 1, or in my case, I did 88. That's how many squares I had. So it's all up to you. Just continue to make all of these until you're fresh out. And then these will be used for our quilt. And then our little half square triangles. You have a insert in your pattern that is just a black and white page that helps you with different half square layouts. So you can use a bunch of these blocks to lay out tons of different options. Kind of like if you've ever done a log cabin, you can of course twist and turn those blocks to make a ton of different patterns. Same thing is true with your half square triangles. Now these half square triangles, these will have to be trimmed, and I have a really slick way to show you that. So let's finish up with our 5-inch, our toothless quilt, and then we'll get to our half square triangles. Okay, so now that we have your however many 5-inch squares, now you just lay them out. They are alternating. So we're gonna point one down, point one up. Point one down, point one up. So when I made mine, instead of laying it out on the floor in my living room to figure out where those were, I put them all in a bucket and I just pulled them from my bucket so they were all scrappy. Because you make them in the same way. You have 2 units look like this that cross and 2 that are open. So I was able to just have the pattern next to me and know, oh, my next one is going to be turned and pointing up. Oh, my next one's going to be pointing down. So it really created that scrappy without me having to get up, grab my row of 8, come back to the sewing machine, sew that row. So I chain pieced a lot of this to come together and make it super scrappy. But it lays out really nice. So no matter if you have something that's directional or not, it's still very cute. I don't know if you can see, like this one has little shadows of, this looks like it's a little salamander and a frog. I've got like this kind of stripy guy. So this one's kind of going more vertical and these ones are horizontal. It doesn't matter. It's just cute. It's all about the color and the arrangements. So you'll just take this one block that we've made 88 times and we'll just twist them to create this cute little chompy teeth, almost ribbon look diagonally through your entire quilt. You can easily adjust this to do in 10-inch squares if you wanted to, and I believe the pattern is going to give you the option if you want to use a layer cake. So a very cool technique. We did a quick little black border. Again, these were 3-inch squares. I chose to do a 2-inch strip for my black border. And then I have some options for borders for us to look at. So this one's pretty fun. This has little chameleons. So if you're looking for a little boy quilt, this one's really cute because I think all the colors are right. You've got the greens, you've got the red, you've got a little bit of orange. It's a really fun little kids option for a border. This one I really like. It's very green, but it's got a little bit of blue and little eyes popping out. And you would need about 1.25 yards for your border. I'm going to cut mine 5.5 inches, so I have a 5-inch border. This one's cute from the I'm Bugging Out collection. So there's a black background with bright bugs, or there's the red with the bright bugs, which I think is kind of cool. This one's from the Rockland Robots. There's also, again, a black background, but I love that all those gears are all of the colors that are inside the quilt. And it keeps it very, again, nondescript. So even if you wanted to make this for a baby shower, if it's, you know, we're not going to know what the baby is until the baby comes out, this one's still really fun, very bright, and just a fun quilt to put on the floor or put in the car. This one is Busy Street. This one's a white background with the bright, it has car words on it and numbers. I think very cute also. And then the last one that I pulled was a really cool stripe. So this stripe, again, stripes length of yardage like most stripes do. But this one, if you cut it, I think it's kind of cool. It'd make like a faux piano keyboarder. And it has all the great colors. It's got some of that fuchsia that's only really in the plus signs. It's got the green, the orange, the yellow. So that one I think would be really cool too. You could miter the corner up here, or you could put one of the solid blocks. If you have an extra block of this, or you have something really cute that just kind of goes with it, you can also put a solid square up here. You can even put black, I think, or whatever this border is, or your accent piece. An accent square would be really good up there too. So there's lots of really cool options, really fun options that you can do to make this really fun, bright setting. So that finishes the toothless part. The two-fer part, your half square triangles. Again, you will just be able to shuffle. You're going to have as many half square triangles as you do blocks. So in my case, I have 88 half square triangles because I had 88 blocks in here. So depending on what you're going to want to do, you might have to make more, or you might have to offset them with something different. Again, in your pattern, there's a sheet of inspiration of how to set them up. But because it is a half square triangle, we're going to have to trim them. So I'm going to show you a really, really fast way to trim these guys up. So you can trim up your half square triangles just using your basic ruler, whether it's a 6-inch, 6 by 12, 4-inch, doesn't matter. Just your basic ruler. Or you can use a block lock, and it's spelled B-L-O-C. L-O-C. They are super cool. They're kind of an expensive ruler, and they're only used for trimming, squaring up your half square triangles. But they make it crazy, crazy easy and almost foolproof. So I'm going to show you old school first, using just your basic ruler. I'm going to be trimming my half square triangles up to 1.5 inches. I could almost, oh wait, maybe I can get 2. Just kidding. I'm going to do 2-inch. That's way easier. So how I do it is I line up my diagonal line so that I can put, there's always going to be a 45-degree line on your ruler. No matter what ruler you're using, you're going to have it on there. And I put that line right on my crease line. So the line between my color and my accent. There's my 2-inch line. There's 2 inches, 2 inches, and then we're going to trim. And if you have a small ruler, you can just twist this. Pick this guy up, twist my ruler. There's my 45-degree line. I'm going to line that right up on that crease line. There's my 2 and my 2. I'm going to line that up on my clean cut edges that I just made. And then we're going to trim. Again, you could make these probably 2 1/4 inch half square triangles, but you know, when I'm trimming something up, I don't want to make it more complicated than it needs to be. And there's a perfectly trimmed 2-inch half square triangle. I'm going to do it one more time for you guys to see. Again, that 45-degree line right on that sew line. Our 2-inch, our 2-inch. Cut, cut. I'm going to twist my ruler. And twisting my ruler is just so I don't have to pick up my block and twist my block. Either way works. It doesn't matter. Again, 45-degree line right on that sew line. Our 2-inch and our 2-inch right on that cut line. And trim. And there you are. A perfectly good trimmed 2-inch half square triangle. All right. New school. Here's our block lock. So the reason the block lock is called block lock is this little shaded area. This is a groove cut into the back of your ruler. And this groove is going to lock in to that seam. So that same line that we were lining our 45-degree line up on, this guy is going to lock into it. So there is no way it's going to be shifting off of where you need to be. This one is a 3.5 inch block lock ruler. So again, I'm going to lock in my ruler. Here's my 2-inch line and my 2-inch line locked in. I'm going to trim and trim. Again, you can just flip your block or move your mat if you have a small enough mat. Again, right at the edge where our block lock marks, we're going to lock in our block. Smoosh it down until we have our 2-inch line and our 2-inch line. Make sure you're locked in. Trim and trim. Super, super slick. You can get a block lock ruler in many sizes. You can get them in sets. It's really good. If you're looking, if this is something you like, you might know that you use a lot of a particular size half square triangle. So you might find that the 6-inch block lock is more fitted for your needs. For me, the 3.5 is perfect because if I am not using thangles, which is like a paper piecing way of making half square triangles, I'm not making them too big. All right, so I'm going to lock in my block lock. There's my 2. There's my 2. I'm going to trim. I'm going to then rotate my mat. Rotate my ruler. We're going to lock in my block lock ruler. There's my 2. There's my 2, and trim. And then once they're all trimmed up to your beautiful 2-inch or whatever you decide works for you, you can then arrange these however you want to make whatever kind of block you want to make. The options are endless. All right, that was the Toothless Two-Fer. So I hope you try this. It's really, really fast to do. Again, accurate cutting. Again, if you get a pre-cut charm pack that is all 5-inch squares, you're pretty accurate there. The 3-inch squares, try your best. Again, worst case scenario, you gotta trim these down to 4.5. It wouldn't be the first time we had to trim a block down. So, and then twist and turn to make your cute little chop marks. And then if you're getting really brave, go ahead and make a cute little half square triangle one. And even if you feel like, oh, I am not quite there in my level of quilting, I would still make these. Put these in a little drawer a project bag, a Ziploc bag. Put these somewhere so when you feel like you're confident or your friend has talked you into doing a half square triangle quilt, you can pull these bad boys out, feel confident to trim them, and make something perfect, and these don't have to go to waste. You can also donate these to a youth group or a fundraiser. If someone's doing a donation quilt, they would love to have these to make blocks to make a donation quilt. So have fun, Merry Christmas, and we will see you soon.
Thank you for watching our video. We invite you to leave a comment, hit the like button, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. You can also visit our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Pinterest pages, or find all of those things and our online store at fabricpatch.net.